Okay, everyone, we're gonna get going with this a little bit earlier today, like 2 minutes early. Technically I'm like an hour late. My week has been really crazy. One of our foster cats unfortunately had to go in and is still hospitalized. I had to do a bunch of vet appointments, stuff like that, and as a result, I don't have the full amount of time that I would normally have for one of these streams, so we're just gonna get right into it, and yeah, we're gonna play Exploud in Pokemon Emerald. I'm only going to show you one run today, unlike typical streams. So yeah, let's do it. I assume everything is working. Everything points to the fact that this is working, but there are no comments in the chat, which makes me very concerned. Are we good? Someone help me. Okay, it seems like we're actually good. Okay. There are comments. Excellent, perfect, let's get going. This one is a run that I played yesterday. It's still fairly fresh in my mind, not entirely, but fairly fresh. So let's go through it. By the way, so We could talk about, like, how many runs does a Pokemon get, and is it fair for every Pokemon to get a different number of playthroughs in total? Yeah, I think on some level it is unfair. The most rigorous way to do things would be to give each Pokemon the same number of attempts, and then see how all of the data stacks up and compare all of that at the end. That said, human skill is a thing, so we really need to compare attempts with a fixed strategy. So once you figure out what you think the best strategy is, then do like a fixed number of attempts with that strategy. But then how do you factor in the time that it took to figure out what the correct strategy was? Because some Pokemon are much more intuitive. And Exploud is one of those Pokemon. This thing was so intuitive when I originally played it. Its first time I got, and this is a while ago, I got the time of 1 hour, 59 minutes and 2 seconds. I had 10 resets, mostly to Steven Stone, and I finished the game at level 74, but with a low game time, 6 hours and 48 minutes, which makes it faster than Pokemon like Pelipper, Milotic, Gardevoir. So Exploud is really good, if you didn't already know. We'll talk about why as we go through this run, but yeah, this thing is kind of a beast in this game. I wonder how it's going to do in Fire Red and Generation 4, as well as Yellow and stuff like that when I get around to backporting it. Because yeah, it's so busted. Its starting set is not great. It gets Uproar and Pound, 2 normal type moves, Astonish, a ghost type move, and a setup move in the form of Howl, which raises its attack by 1 stage. This move is the entire reason that Exploud is quite good, because it can raise its attack stat, and normal moves are all physical in Generation 3. So, yeah. How dare you spoil us? Well, I didn't spoil you without a poll, because we haven't actually done the poll for today's playthrough. Today's playthrough. Final real time. So remember I played Exploud over a year ago now, I think. The original playthrough with it, so I got under 2 hours with that run. So this run is definitely going to be faster than that. So our worst time is going to be greater than 1 hour and 50 minutes, which is not much of an improvement. Then we'll do under 1 hour and 50, under 1 hour and 40. Maybe we'll space these out a little bit more. Under 1 hour and 35, hour and 25, because my times in Emerald they're getting much faster. Anything under 1 hour and like 15 minutes seems like ridiculous, but yeah, start the poll. Here, let's see what everyone thinks for Exploud. While I do that, I'm going to go through base stats, so if you want to take your time before voting, please do that. I'll leave it up for a little bit. Okay, so for base stats, Exploud has 104 HP, 91 attack, 63 defense, 68 speed, 91 special attack, and 63 special defense. I've given it a naughty nature to boost my attack and lower my special defense. Overall in Emerald, I think this is the best attack boosting nature to go with as a default. Since Exploud is not exceptionally fast, I wanted to make sure that I outsped every target, like the Claydol on Steven's team, etc. I didn't want to lower my speed. Lowering speed is the next best thing to do, because I want to preserve my special attack if possible for coverage moves. Because honestly, Exploud gets access to a decent number of them. Ice Beam, Flamethrower, Shockwave. That's pretty good coverage, special coverage. Lowering my special attack didn't seem like a great idea. I also wanted to give myself more physical options, so I went with Hidden Power Rock, just to have something to counter Winona. There are other options for Hidden Power, but like fighting, for example, but I get Brick Break late game, so I didn't want to make a duplicate there. Why is it always the second option that wins? I don't know. I think it's probably because people are not like really extreme. They want to be right with their predictions, so they're not going to predict something they think is unlikely. And like predicting, like the middle time ranges are usually a bit safer. Joel, this is pre-recorded. All of my streams now are one pre-recorded run, then usually a live run, but I'm not doing a live run today. I don't have time. So yeah, Exploud's really good. Now, I want to talk about the philosophy of this run, because I didn't just go into this run blind. I had the former playthrough. I figured out in the last run that trying to use a special set against Steven makes like absolutely no sense. It's much better to go with Brick Break and Earthquake for him, using Howl to boost the power of physical moves. After I had figured that out, I knew that I could... I know that I can beat him at a lower level than 74, so I wanted to see just how much time I could shave off fighting trainers at low levels. So I go into Roxanne's gym without doing too much optional training. I am level 12 and then 13 by the time I beat youngster Tommy. Honestly, look at how badly Exploud is doing against these Geodudes, even after setting up a couple Howls. Like, I go for, I think, 2 or 3 here, and then this level 8 Geodude after getting some defense curls. Actually, I'm going to go maybe all the way to +6, just to see it, 5. But even after some defense curls, like, I'm 3 defense curls, I'm like 3 hitting. It's not very good. Also, Uproar locks you in, so you cannot switch out of using the move once you start using it until Exploud calms down. So... yeah, it's a little bit sketchy. Even the voiceover is pre-recorded. That's right. I'm just like a Time Lord or something. I knew that you were going to say that. Okay. So, please pay attention for this Roxanne fight. If you're watching in the background, now is the time to pay attention. I'm level 14, and the Geodude does so much damage with a critical hit right away, so I use my Oran Berry on the second turn. And then it crits again with a Rock Throw and takes me down to 12 hit points. So I have almost no HP left over by the time I start using Uproar, and it is only doing about a third. Now, I get a critical hit, knocking the first Geodude out, surviving on 4 hit points. Then I crit the second one, knocking it out as well. So I have 7 hit points left over for the Nose Pass. Because I'm slower, it's choosing Harden. Then it misses an attack, misses a second attack, and yeah, she uses a potion, and then it misses a third attack, and I beat Roxanne. I like genuinely could not believe that this happened. Yeah, like, anyways, like, so I did not deserve to win that fight, and that's where I'm gonna take some time to mention the fact that this run is going to have some really good luck. There's going to be other moments in it where there's some absurd luck. That's actually, like, normally I think I would have put off this stream and then just done it on a second day if I couldn't have had, like, didn't have time to do the full thing today. But after that kind of luck, I'm like, you know, I'm saving time already just because of luck. Even if I come in with a more refined strategy that's going to be more consistent, I'm not necessarily going to be getting a better Roxanne split, because that was ridiculous. Okay, let's talk about the back sprite. Back sprite, I think it's kind of bad, honestly. When you look at Exploud's art, like the Sugimori art that I have on the overlay, it looks like wide, like an organ on its head, but in the back sprite, it looks like its head is really narrow. I don't like that. And I know they're trying to go for like a perspective thing where you're like looking directly at one of the circular tubes, but I don't find that it has the best overall effect. So this is not one of my favorite back sprites. So you're saying this is the best runtime you think you could get, so that's a reason. No, it's not the best runtime I could get. It's just... It becomes less likely for me to make improvements on times when I have ridiculous luck. I do think I can get better times, of course. It takes a lot for me to be very confident saying, like, I cannot actually get a better time. Like, there's so much you can do to make things smoother, like cutting out heals, knowing exactly how much PP you should have in a certain portion of a run. I generally don't have enough time to map out Pokemon that much unless I do a ridiculous race and play Parasect like 200 times. That's a Pokemon where I'm like, even with all the modern knowledge, if I sat down to play it again, I think I would get a time like very comparable to the former times that we were getting during that race. Like, maybe I could get a better time than I got, but I don't know if I would beat like all the other players in the race's time. It still might be very hard to do that, just because so much work and time went into that. Okay. Technically I ban RNG manips in my runs. Like intentional ones where you like stand on a tile and save and then like reset and like the RNG seed is exactly where you need it to be. The reason I ban them is because if I allow them and then I do it with one Pokemon, then I have to do it for every Pokemon, and that's going to consume a lot of time, and that'll take me away from my overall goal of beating all of the 2D main series games with every species. Because like at the current rate, we're like 30 to 50 years for the total project completion. So I gotta make sure that I set bounds for myself so that I don't just take forever on one Pokemon. Silk Scarf comes very early in the run. Now this is a big benefit to a normal type Pokemon. You can get a boost. I get a boost to Uproar right away, which is a decent normal type move. Other Pokemon, I was playing, I did 2 other Emerald runs today already, but those runs, they did not get good normal moves early on. And then you feel sad because the Silk Scarf is great when you can actually utilize it. Of course, Brawly is the second gym leader, which is not great for a normal type, but remember, you can skip Brawly until after, you defeat Flannery. You do need to have 4 badges to get into Norman's gym, though. The doors stay locked until then. 2D series, what about 3Ds? I'm not making any promises about anything from X and Y on. We'll see what happens when I get there. But no promises. My ability is soundproof. Honestly, it's a terrible ability for a solo run. There are so few sound moves, and some stuff that should be sound moves, like Sonic Boom, are not in fact sound moves, so you don't counter that out. I found that one out recently. I genuinely had to go and look it up while editing a video, and I was like, wait, are you kidding me? Like, this thing is not sound-based? No, it's not. Because I had soundproof. Yeah, at least blocks Supersonic, that's very true. And Supersonic can be annoying, but like, really when your ability is blocking just Supersonic, you know you have a bad ability. So yeah, check this out. Uproar, Vital Throw knocks me out. That's the first reset. So I'm fighting Brawly, even though maybe it doesn't make sense to do this fight, but again, this is in the spirit of like, let's see how much time we can shave off. I'm not going to do too much overtraining. I just wanted to, honestly, I was doing this run to see like how much I could cut out of the playthrough. Then I crit with Astonish against the Machop. Uproar knocks out the Meditite in one hit. This is with +3, and then it knocks out the Makuhita, so Brawly's not actually that bad. I think if you're able to get by Roxanne at least consistently, which I would probably have to train up to like 15 or 18 to do, I have a medium slow growth rate, which is really good for the early game, so that's not a huge investment. I think at that point, you can just fight Brawly. If you have one reset there, it doesn't really matter that much either. It blocks Growl too. Wonderful. I'm gonna grab this. This is a heart scale so that I can get back Howl later if I decide to lose Howl in the mid game and then relearn it later for Steven. In your opinion, is it better to have a gym that covers your weakness earlier in the game or later? Like, would you rather have a fighting type gym for gym 2 or 5? What I'm finding with these runs, the more that I do them, in the early generation games, I would rather have the difficult gyms early on, and in the later generations, I would rather have them later on. So like if the fighting type specialist, like if, I don't know, like you'd have like a fighting type specialist as the second Elite Four member in Emerald. I think that would be easier for Exploud, because you can use all your rare candies before that person then, whereas if they're early on, you can't. So you're like Platinum, for example. If you struggle against rock, grass, or ghost types, those games are going to be a lot more brutal than if you struggle against like ground, psychic, or fire types. Because by that time you're massively overleveled and you can rely on generic moves like Return. In the early games, in early generation games, it's a little bit different. I find that in Yellow and Red and Blue, the late game is typically a little bit harder than the late game of the later generation games. Like Platinum has the easiest late game by far when solo running. Which is hilarious, because I think when doing a regular playthrough and spreading out all your experience, Platinum's late game is much harder. But like having struggling against Lorelei in Generation 1 is like brutal. Or like struggling against Agatha. Like so many Pokemon can just fall apart entirely for that. But like in this game, it's pretty rare to struggle during the Elite Four if you've leveled enough. I think the only reason the Elite Four used to give me problems in Emerald is because I wasn't rare candying before them. Because I was too scared of Steven, so I would save my rare candies. If you can use your rare candies right before Sydney, then the Elite Four members are not that challenging. Although, then there are some Pokemon that are really weak to water types, and you have Juan, Glacia, and Wallace all right at the end of the game. That's kind of frustrating. I may have played a Pokemon that's pretty bad against water types earlier today. Okay, this is Last Robin. Last Robin is one of the most intimidating trainers in all of Emerald. I went for a Howl just so I would one-hit the Shroomish and it couldn't get Stun Spore off, because if that happens, everything can fall apart. Yes, it was Camerupt. Also, there's this weird flickering that's happening where like my overlay, it just like flashes white for a second after some battles. I don't know why it's happening yet, and again, I haven't had time to bug fix it, so apologies for that when you notice it. So I did do this rare candy. My thinking here was like, I can get the rare candy, and last time I struggled against Steven, so I don't want to be too underleveled by the time I get to Steven, and the little bit of extra experience here helps me get levels for Wattson, who's coming up next. He's typically one of the hardest gym leaders in the early game, and I really didn't want to teach Rock Smash for him. When you teach Rock Smash, you just lose a move slot for like 5 gym leaders, and that always feels awful. It's like 3 gym leaders, but it feels like 5, because the portion of the game between here and when you get to Tate and Liza is like ridiculously long. Yeah, Rival 2. Rival 2 is typically not a problem unless you're really going to struggle against, like, you have a 4 times weakness to water moves, for example. Then he can be a problem. Also, then Wingull. Random Wingull can be problems. Just like Water Gun, because they're fast and you're really slow. Camerupt has base 40 speed, by the way. Why? Well, it's a camel, I think. Makes sense. Mountain camel. Like it's not like a camel from the mountains. Like it's a camel that is a mountain. It's a volcano. I'm pretty sure maybe volcanoes aren't mountains, but they're sort of mountains. They're like mad mountains. Okay. I fight these 2 trainers pretty much all the time before Wattson. You have to fight them at some point in the run, so it just makes sense to do it now. I realized my Uproar PP was getting kind of low, so I'm like, well, I should use Pound. Then I get hit by Mud Slap, so this Aaron's getting like really frustrating. Uses a bunch of Hardens, survives 4. It takes 4 hits to knock it out, and I miss a bit. It's annoying. I don't end up having a loss here. It's just like frustrating. Cole 11. They love the vids. Thank you. Glad to have you here. When do we get Legacy Crystal? Not this year. Maybe 2025. I don't know. Probably not, honestly. It's taking us way too long to get the Yellow Legacy video out. There'll be a Pikachu only in Yellow, in Legacy Yellow, at some point in the next, like, month, hopefully. My voice took a turn for the worst a little while ago, and then that really slowed down production. And then I was, like, really burnt out after the ground type versus video. So this week has, and then with all the vet appointments and stuff, this week has basically been a complete write-off. I've got so little done. This might be the least productive week I've had since starting the channel. Okay. Wattson. So, don't use Uproar on the Voltorb. I go for it twice here and then use my Cherry Berry, because obviously the Voltorb has soundproof. I was probably looking at something else while trying that. I get hit by Self-Destruct. This fight's just a write-off. I totally threw here. It's a fairly short reset. It's not a huge deal. It's like, what, maybe 10 seconds? Maybe 15 seconds? Spark's really annoying. 30% chance to paralyze, and I'm not faster. I'm speed tied with the Voltorb, which is extremely frustrating. If I came back to do this again, I would go to level 27 to get an outspeed on the Voltorb. And I'm gonna like do some training now anyways, just to get up to level 27. I don't like, if I'm moving second against the Voltorb or even chancing it to move second, it's a little bit less consistent. Plus I have a medium slow growth rate. I might as well take some time training. You don't bleed that much time. And I need to do this person anyways. Okay, so level 27, 51 speed. I am now faster than the Voltorb. Voltorb is Wattson's second fastest Pokemon, with the Manectric having 55 speed. I think I could have gone back in and fought there, but when I was playing it, I think I decided to go to 28 for damage rounding. Great. The people in Emerald, they have to give you their numbers. You cannot say no to it. So there's lots of dialogue after every battle, much more than in Ruby Sapphire. Or at least I think. I don't think they have to give you their numbers in Ruby Sapphire. They definitely don't in Crystal. Yeah, I'm going to fight this guy later when I backtrack through the middle of the map. Might as well just fight him now. Philip Farrell, thank you for the 10 euros. Really appreciate it. When it comes to gyms, do you think they're good as type specialists, or would the games be improved if they used a variety of types with a strategy in mind? I personally think that the games would be improved if they used a variety of types with the strategy in mind. Like, it would be really cool to see, like, I don't know, like a weather person, there's a sun user, and then later in the run there's like a sandstorm user or something, and there's other people that are much more like status condition oriented, and other people that are more like all-out offense with glass cannons. I think that would be more fun, but that's coming from the perspective of someone who is who's played the series for a long time. I think, like, in terms of getting new viewers into the series and that sort of thing, I think that the current solution they have makes sense. I just don't find it very realistic. Like, other than me, who just plays the game with one Pokemon all the time, it's like, generally it's not a very good idea to just have a bunch of electric types on your team, so like, who would do that? It seems like bad strategy, so it kind of like takes me out of the immersion of the games when I see trainers like Wattson. Okay, I went to level 29 to get Stomp, then I can set up with Howl, or knock the Voltorb out, then set up with Howl on the electric, because it loves to spam its own howls when you're setting up. And then I can use Stomp to knock out the remainder of his Pokemon. It actually, with +6, I one-hit the Magneton, even though Stomp is resisted, and then just one-shot the Manectric, so really easy fight. Also, when I went up to level 30, I have exactly 56 speed, or I had 56 speed before the speed badge boost was added. So there's the potential to just level Exploud to level 30 for Wattson, and then just crush his entire team, because it would be so easy at that point. Stomp turn 1, set up 6 Howls, Stomp 3 more times, you're done. You could also go for a lower level strategy utilizing Rock Smash, and just basically knock out the Voltorb as soon as possible, set up on the Manectric, then Rock Smash the Magneton. And also Playmaker, thank you so much for the 20, I think it was 20 gifted memberships. Really, I really appreciate it. You've been extremely generous, so thank you for, also watch this. Okay, I only jumped over once. Sometimes I jump over that ledge like 3 or 4 times. It's really embarrassing when it happens. I'm getting way better at dodging the spinning trainers. Like, I've learned where their, like, motion starts so that I know if I can just walk right by them or if I have to, like, stop for, like, half a second, that sort of thing. I've really been enjoying playing Emerald this year. I would say out of all the games I'm playing right now actively, Emerald is my favorite. The Emerald's in this, like, nice place for me right now where the stress level is quite low because I'm still fairly early on into the series and I don't have a ton of experience. I also feel like I'm learning things very rapidly. Like, my play gets much better every month. But it hasn't reached the point where I've played it enough that I'm stressed about doing multiple playthroughs. Like, with Yellow now, it's like, even when I sit down to play, like, a first stage Pokemon like Shelder, I'm, like, really in my head because I'm just, like, there's so much context and history and I have so much knowledge and I know, like, all the flaws and I know just, like, what it takes to really optimize a run and get it as smooth as is possible. So then I play Yellow and I'm just stressed out. Yeah, the ash effect in this area is so neat. I agree. As a kid also, like, being able to, like, collect the ash in, like, the little, like, soot sack or whatever it's called. Oh, it's so much fun. I remember just getting that item and going around and, like, running through all the little piles of ash and, like, picking it up. Great mechanic. Okay, secret power. I held off on teaching this just because I didn't really need it. Like, Stomp and Uproar were good enough. If I'm not in the menu doing something, I'm not going to teach secret power right away anymore. That's just to save small amounts of time, make these routes a little bit more efficient. The downside to doing things that way is if you're very forgetful, like I am, sometimes you'll forget teaching something and then go into a battle without the move you need. So it can be a safety mechanism at, like, right when you pick up the move, just teach it right away. Wreck Frost, $10. Love the content, keep it up. Thank you. Really appreciate it. Okay, are we going to see the camper or the hiker? No, not today. Sorry. I'm waiting to see the hiker. Maybe one day. Okay, this fight against Maxie that's coming up, I think it's the enemy leader that you're least prepared for in most of these playthroughs, and in general, he is the most threatening of the 3 fights. You have 2 Maxie fights and 1 Archie fight in Emerald. I think, I used to not be able to get person berries before this, but you can behind the little house before Meteor falls. So I'm going to use a person berry, I think, here. There's no white herb available before this moment. There's only 2 in the game. One at the, like, Whalmer Pale flower shop place, and the other one is by using Thief on Flannery's Torkoal. But both of those are after this moment, so you can't get rid of the Intimidate from the initial Mightyena, which is really what's annoying. Then if I want to set up with Howl, it can use Sand Attack on me and lower my accuracy. So Howl, turn 1, Sand Attack, lowered accuracy. So I just decided I'm going to set up more, and then it Sand Attacks me again, so -2. But in Generation 3, I still have a 60% chance to hit, and all my secret powers do, so no problems with Maxie. How do you find hidden power in this game? It is available after you pick up the secret power TM from the guy that I got it from, or it's available in the TM shop in Slateport City, so you can just buy new copies of it whenever you want. Or in Fort Tree City, you can answer some questions from an old lady. I think it's like the top option, bottom option, and then she'll give you the hidden power TM. You do not need to get the hidden power TM from her to buy it in the store. So technically you can just go north of Wattson's gym, pick up the secret power TM, and then go back to Slateport City and pick up the hidden power TM before fighting someone like Flannery. This is useful for Pokemon that need, like, hidden power ground, rock, or water to defeat her. Water is quite good against her as long as you're not going to let her get a sunny day up. And ground is generally better than rock, but usually taking hidden power ground is not quite as good because a lot of Pokemon get Earthquake in the late game, and obviously that's the better ground move. So if you go with rock, then you have a little bit more diverse coverage throughout the entire playthrough. Okay, I went back to Fall Arbor Town to pick up the TM for Return. I teach it right away as well. It has a higher base power than secret power, and I don't really need the chance for paralysis off secret power. That's not that useful as a secondary effect in Pokemon Emerald, but I've found it's very useful to get you out of sticky situations in Fire Red. So I typically in those games I keep a spare secret power TM around on my person, just in case I need to teach it to, like, I don't know, paralyze Lance's Gyarados or something because I'm having an awful time against it. I have a question. How does Hidden Power calculate its type compared to Generation 2? It does it in a very similar way, so it uses the IVs. By the way, here's how you get through the gym without fighting any trainers. See? You don't have to fight anyone in here. Thank you everyone for telling me that during the last stream. Learned a new thing. All the experience yields on these trainers they're quite bad, so skipping them all makes the most sense. Austin mentioned a Kecleon guy who has okay experience, but like, I don't know. Huh. In general, he only has one Pokemon on his team, so probably just skip him. Okay, go to +2 against Flannery, then start sweeping, knock out the Numel, knock out the Slugma, knock out the Camerupt, all one hits, but the Torkoal has amazing defense, it survives, but just goes for Body Slam. And she Hyper Potions twice, delaying my victory, but I still get it. So, that's that. Yeah, so Hidden Power is calculated based on your IVs. If we look at my IVs right now, you will see that my Exploud has 31 HP, attack, and special attack, and then 30 in its defense, speed, and special defense. So, higher IVs yield a higher base power, Hidden Power, and then based on which IVs I think are odd, is going to determine what type the Hidden Power is. So in this case, Hidden Power Rock. You need 3 non-perfect IVs. Okay. I'm not, because I went with Hidden Power Rock, I am not, and I trained a bit on that route for Wattson. You can get through this area quite quickly, and I'm going to backtrack through the middle of the map instead of going to Slateport first. Plus, I didn't really grind for Roxanne, which I would change in the future. Because of that, I don't have an Abra. If I had an Abra, then I could go to Slateport City and teleport back to Mauville, which could save time. Or I could backtrack to Brawly using teleport, like put my waypoint to Slateport City when I first arrived there, and then teleport back there after defeating Flannery. Or picking up the rare candy in the desert, probably. I deposit my Pokemon there so that I don't have the double battle on the bridge, and then I pick up the White Herb. White Herb is great to cancel out one of the Intimidates that happens throughout the playthrough. Typically, it's best to be used against Sydney, but it can also have use against Drake to block Rock Tomb's speed drop if you want to move first against the Salamence, which has, like, I think 132 speed. If you have 133 speed, you'll move first. And then Wallace, I think Wallace's max speed is 118, so if you're outspeeding the Salamence, you're going to outspeed all of Wallace's team. And typically, if you outspeed the Salamence, you'll also outspeed the Claydol and Stevens team, which has 140 speed. Hey, Scott. Or hey, Scoot, actually. Who's your fave Pokemon? Honestly, Venomoth. Now, it used to be Butterfree. But I don't know, like, it's like a favorite by a small amount. I really like just Pokemon in general. This series is great. I may have missed it, but what is Hidden Power Rock optimizing for? Honestly, I wanted, like, super effective damage against flying types, and that was all I was thinking about. I was just like, yeah, let's just get, like, a different one. It'd be good to have it. Might as well. In the end, Exploud is not going to need it. Honestly, I think it's probably just fine to run Hidden Power Fighting and then go for the normal Ghost fighting coverage. Yeah, normal fighting Ghost is amazing, and with Howl, that's like going to be one of the best sets for Exploud. Also, I get confused here. I really wanted to one-hit the Slacking because I didn't want it to attack. Turn 1, though, I can just Howl when it's going to use counter and then return twice to knock it out. So it ends up not being a threat. Also, if you have... Norman's fastest Pokemon is his Linoon, which has 69 speed. So if you have 70 speed, you'll move first and have a nice battle. Emerald would be a good game if it had the Fighting Ghost type Venomoth, yeah. I'll have to play this game with it, Venomoth, sometime. Okay. I think it's generally slightly suboptimal to teach the Meryl Surf. Because if you teach it to the Zigzagoon, it goes in slot number 1, and then you can just spam A every time teaching the Meryl a move. Whereas if you don't do that, then there is one case where you're teaching the Meryl its 4th move, and you actually have to move the cursor, which can take more text frames. This is a mistake. Accidentally going into this double battle. I should be hugging the bottom so that I only fight one of the trainers. In the end, it just doesn't matter. These people are irrelevant. There are only 2 double battles in this entire game that are ever a problem for a solo Pokemon. That is, like, in that battle, I could have literally knocked out my entire team with my Exploud, then just finished their Pokemon off, and I wouldn't have worried about it. I thought about going to get Hidden Power there, and then I thought about what Caitlin said, and I was like, you know, I don't really need this thing. Plus, I can just pick up a copy of it in Fort Tree. And then I changed my mind after getting the rare candy, which is just perfect play. Check this out. Honestly, I don't need it. I'm gonna put it in the place of Stomp, I think. Or Astonish. Probably Astonish. Astonish is a pretty trash move. Alright. Here we go. The most boring... This is like... This section of the game is like the Rocket plotline in Generation 2. Like, so little happens. Unless you learn, like, all of the TMs, like Thunderbolt and Ice Beam. Then there's a whole bunch of stuff to talk about. But ordinarily here, it's like... Oh, I played for like 4 minutes and there's nothing for me to put in the video. Because there's just this huge route where there's no mandatory trainers. You skip everyone. Steven talks to you a bit. You pick up some berries and then you just go into Fort Tree City. Not the most interesting section. But... in Emerald, at least, we get all these beautiful visuals with long grass, trees, water, rain sometimes, bridges. It's a beautiful route. Little mountainous areas like this. There's, yeah, it's gorgeous. All these secret hideout locations, puddles on the ground with clouds. It's like gorgeous place. So it's nice. The Rocket plotline is not. Very boring. A lot of really easy battles in quick succession. We try to put the nice numbers in by 69s whenever they show up. They don't. It's not all the time because, like, you know, we can't put them in all the time. There's a lot of 69s, but whenever we notice it, we put them in. There was one where there was 3 69s on the screen at the same time, and then we put them in on all of those. Very important numerology. This fight, I never think about. This is a regular trainer, even though it's an admin. Matt is scarier admin. Also, the rival in Generation 3 is so bad. Well, in Emerald. Like, the Pelipper's probably going to protect, so I felt like I can just set up with Howl there. Note in this case, Hidden Power is a little bit more powerful when compared with Return, by about 10 effective power when it's super effective. Just because Return hasn't gained enough steam yet, mostly because I've been going through with doing like very few battles. All of those numbers change if I just give Exploud the Silk Scarf though. And the Hardstone takes more time to obtain, whereas the Silk Scarf takes very little time to obtain. That means that the Silk Scarf is just the superior item. See? Just pause there for a brief moment, then walk by her. You'll always get by. Perfect. Seriously, you need to write code that every time it's 69... Yeah, I know, right? But then we can't get it out of the video, and sometimes we don't want it. It's like... If I'm... bad pathing, I should have skipped her, but... Yeah, I only like to code in stuff that I know is going to be there in a way that I would like to use it in the end. We can turn it on. We can turn it on in like streams or something. I guess I could code that. Make little... Yeah. Yeah, the spinners, I know. When you dodge them the first time, then you have to like remember that you're going to dodge them the second time. And sometimes what I notice is I hit them the first time accidentally, and then I like don't remember that I've hit them, so that I'm like really careful the next time, but then I mess up and I'm like, oh yeah, I already battled them and it's fine. I'm just wasting time in both instances. This guy, Camper Flint, is kind of scary. This is a case where I was like, this is where I realized like Hidden Power Rock, not very good. Again, Return has 5 more effective power in this instance. Thanks, Caitlin. Yeah, everyone liked the stream. It makes me feel better. It does help with numbers and stuff like that. So if you want to support my content, like do all the regular YouTuber stuff. People say this stuff all the time because it does help. Honestly, liking helps more than subscribing, so do that one. Okay. Winona. I don't think Perish Song can affect me, but the Tropius is just so bad anyways that we can just set up here. Like, I get to +3, I'm like, this is enough. We're just gonna sweep. I go for Howl on the Pelipper, hoping that it goes for Protect. Sometimes it uses Supersonic, but again, soundproof, so it's not a threat. +4 is not enough to one-hit the Skarmory, but it's gonna 2-hit, so what's it gonna do? She just heals with a Hyper Potion and then I win. Well, there's an Altaria, but like, it goes down to 1 hit. What were you expecting? Rorschach test, what kind of animal is Exploud to me? Oh my gosh. That's... That, like, do I just see it as a black blob? I think if I see it as a black blob, I think it's something from under the sea. Like, it's like a sea cucumber or something. Because it, like... When you look at, if you look at it as just a blob, it doesn't really look like it has arms and legs. It's just like a bunch of like weird like tubes and stuff and just like kind of a circular shape. But if I look at it now and I see it as it is, what kind of animal is it? I always just thought of it as an organ. Like the instrument, not like a heart or something like that. Hidden Power is good when it's does 4 times damage, like to the Beauty Fly, but like didn't matter there either. Return would have 1 hit as well. What is Exploud? What kind of animal is it? Like a dinosaur, maybe? I don't. It's not really like a dinosaur. I like it. I like this design a lot. Okay, see, this is the thing. When I think about it, like Exploud, I'm just like, wow. I can't really decide what it is, and that makes me excited. Whereas, like, when the Pokemon is much clearer about what it's based on, I'm a little bit less. I was like, oh, it's a cat, or like, oh, it's a dog. Like, okay, great. Like, this Pokemon is much less interesting. Like Arcanine, for example. Just like, it's a dog Pokemon. Woohoo! I'm so excited. And then someone's gonna be like, it's not actually a dog. It's this very specific kind of like hyena or whatever. It's always more specific than I say in the videos. Okay, I think here I mess up. Yeah, so I wanted to switch in the cast form so that it doesn't level up mid-battle and waste time with like learning moves text. And then I accidentally clicked Powder Snow and hit myself in confusion. I'm pretty sure I freeze the Zubat. Yeah. So cast form froze the Zubat. You can judge me if you think this is an invalid run now because of the freeze, but I considered restarting the run and playing it again there. Because I was like, well, Exploud's confused. What if it just keeps hitting itself and I win because of the freeze? But it didn't keep hitting itself, so I think even if they got like 4 or 5 more turns, it would have been no different, even if I just spammed like Hail over and over again. If someone tells me to feint all of my HM users, the answer is no, because that takes more time. And if you're gonna say, what you should do is write a script that makes them all faint. That feels really weird. I could see why you would want to play like that, and I'm totally like if that's going to be your rules, go for it. I'm not going to criticize you on it, but for me, it just feels weird to like manip that part of the game. And I know I do it for other parts of the games. Like, I'm not trying to be internally consistent here. It just that feels off to me. Okay. Gotta dodge the spinners. We especially want to dodge Wobbuffet guy who's up here. That guy. Guy with the purple hair, he's got a Wobbuffet. You gotta dodge him. Be scared. Yeah, and then he catches me. So, the thing is here, I have Howl, so I'm just gonna set up until I know that I'll one-shot the Wobbuffet, and then I'll knock it out. We have art for him. It's not in the overlay yet, because I fight him so infrequently these days, but I will have to add it. I came all the way up here to get Shadow Ball, because now I have an answer for Tate and Liza, who are coming up next. This is when I'm gonna delete Stomp. Kind of a waste of time to faint with lines of code for a few double battles. Yeah. Honestly, like, before that, I would want to change the game to just remove all the double battles. Like, if two trainers look at you at the same time, like, they just fight you one by one. I think I would change that first. Because, like, then I'm actually just being like, no, there are no double battles in this game. We're solo running. The trainers never see that I'm using more than one Pokemon, because they just know that I only have one Pokemon, that's all I fight with. Literally, the HM users are just there to get by obstacles. But I'm probably just gonna leave things as is right now. I don't feel too bad about it. There's some edge cases here, which someone's gonna bring up eventually, so let's talk about it. That's the other YouTuber saying, let's talk about it. I catch myself saying that sometimes now, and I'm like, can't say that. That's so generic. Anyways, I'm gonna sell the Zincs and 3 Nuggets here to buy, let's look at my EVs. So I'm buying vitamins right now. So I have 42 in my attack EV, 56 in my speed EV. Those are typically the ones that you want to improve, so I'm going to improve speed and attack here. How much time do you spend depositing HM buddies? Not that long. Maybe like 30 seconds. Probably less than that. I'm getting better at it. It only really takes a lot of time if you forget it. Or you have to like leave a gym, withdraw them, go back into the gym because you failed. And you need another move or the move reminder or something. That's when it really takes time. Okay, Magma Hideout. This area is like pretty boring. There's not too much going on in here. We're approaching our final form as well in terms of moveset. As you can see, Exploud is just kind of crushing the game. We're only just over 45 minutes into this run. We have 6 badges, and we're rapidly approaching the 7th. It's at this time that I usually check in with my level to see where I'm at. In this case, 42, which is kind of low. If it was a little bit higher, I would be comfortable not using all my rare candies, but at this level, it feels like I should probably use all my rare candies before Tate and Liza. Tate and Liza is a very challenging fight when you're only using one Pokemon. Did the stream with Snowy get pushed off to next week? It's not a stream, it's a video. But yeah, it did get pushed off. It's, by the way, doing this kind of thing, the logistics behind the scenes are very hard. I don't know how to communicate it to people, but like organizing things, getting all the projects done, releasing stuff on time, it's very challenging. And everything always runs slower than I'm expecting. And I was talking to Madrybread maybe like 2 years ago, and he said that to me. He said, don't worry if like a collab between us doesn't happen sometime soon. Stuff on YouTube always is very delayed. And I was like, huh. What? I don't get it. But yeah, it's stuff gets delayed, so yeah, we still haven't done something together. I was hoping that we'd have time this January, but not yet. How big is your creative team? It's me and then Sean. We're like the primary 2 people who do the bulk of the work. Then there is Weil and Dagron right now, or who are 2 people who are volunteering with programming. And then I have another person who is a paid programmer writing some plugins and stuff. And then there will be a new addition to the team soon. as well as Soul does art, and Brian does thumbnail art. And then I guess there's like Austin, Austin of course is helping me out with all my strategies so that I don't play terribly, and also this battle's kind of sketchy. Like, I got really lucky there knocking that thing out, and I have just enough speed to move first against the camera up after the scary face. You need 88 speed to move first after the scary face. See, that's the thing that Austin taught me. Austin also helps test the softwares. By the way, Austin, we have a glitch in the Gen 3 software. Whenever you click New Run, it resets, I think, the attempt number and the finish number. We're somehow not looking that up, I don't think, from the correct, like, the Pokemon's data. Yeah, there's Chad art. I've seen the sketches of it. It's not done yet, though. So the team is small, but there's, like... The team is small in terms of, like, people who are working full-time, obviously. But... It's like me, I'm on, like, full-time plus, and then Sean is on, like, full-time minus. Because sometimes my voice does not get enough material for him to be going 40 hours a week. But like other times there's like weeks where like he does go as much as possible, and then we there's still stuff to do. I think like it's really interesting making videos because it gives me a different appreciation for little things that I see in other people's content when I watch other stuff on any platform. And when I hear other creators talk about their creative process, it's like, oh yeah, I really get it now. Does my wife do anything to help? Like she like supports me, but not actually on the channel, no. She's understanding when I spend like 16 hours programming something in Gen 3 and then it doesn't work and I get frustrated about it. One day I spent 14 hours working on the decryption algorithm for the Gen 4 games. I still didn't solve it. So frustrating. Like those kind of days. She's there for me by not complaining and being like, you need to do less Pokemon stuff. Like, no, she just lets me dive into it. Because I basically work on the channel 7 days a week. Unless there's a week like this where there's like actual emergencies happening that I have to take care of. Yeah, Soul is not my wife. Soul just sent fan art one time and I liked it so much that they got a job. So that's sometimes how it happens. Honestly, that's how it like pretty much happens for everyone. I just like someone sends me something and I look at it and I go like, wow, that's pretty good. And then like eventually it turns into something where like I just want to keep the person around because they're really, really good at what they do. Okay. Oh yeah, Andrew. Everyone, Andrew is the person. Andrew is helping me with programming stuff. So thank you. You've been doing amazing work recently. It's so like, it's so good to have this project moving again, which it will benefit literally everyone who's watching. If you want to do these runs yourself and you want to use my overlay, what Andrew is working on will benefit all of you. I should just escape rope out. I don't know why I didn't escape rope. I just ran around for a little bit because it's fun. And then I escape roped out and wasted time. And then I surf and then I jump out on that little tile and bump into this rock. That's exceptional play right there. That's what you come to this channel for. Moments like that. The one role, and it might be already filled, but I'm not sure yet. The one role that I'm really like would be exceptionally helpful is like quality control. I like details and going into details and stuff like that, but I do not like going back and checking stuff. Like my mind feels like it's screaming at me when I watch the video for like the third time. Like, it's a painful process, because usually by the third time through, I'm like so in my own biases that I'm not gonna notice stuff. Like, if I say like the wrong Pokemon name or something, I'm just like, yeah, that's correct. Like my like pronunciation of all the words in the sentence was good, or like my diction was good, or like I didn't like slur my words accidentally, or like have a weird mouth sound. Those are the things I'm listening for when reviewing the voiceover. So then if the meaning is not exactly perfect, or like one of the words is a little out of place, it's like, no, you're actually referring to effective power, not base power in that case. Like, I miss those things, then I get comments about them, and that's frustrating. Like, I would rather you comment about like my strategy, or comment about the production quality, or about the things that you enjoyed in the video, that kind of thing, rather than like being like, hey, this one sentence, it didn't really make sense. So like that kind of quality control would be really helpful. And I tried setting up a group in the past where like I would send the video out to a bunch of people, they would watch it and then give me feedback on it. And what I found is I got feedback for not the things I was looking for feedback for. And it was... I was not like wise enough back then to know how to direct people to focus the feedback on things that I was looking for, because I was very new to this. Okay. We gotta start talking about what's coming next. Tate and Liza. Gotta deposit all but one HM user, because you need to have 2 Pokemon in your party, otherwise they won't start the battle with you. Aren't all comments good for the algorithm? Yes, but I would take half the comments that I get if the comments that I got were of higher quality. And I think that a lot of you would say the same for like a lot of stuff in life. Like, if you could just have like half of the stuff, but all the stuff that you got was like better, I think that would be more satisfying, in my opinion, rather than like just getting a huge quantity of stuff, but all of it's like not very good. And like, yeah. That's a challenging thing, because like sometimes I'm like I think to myself, like, if I grew the channel and I made like really focused on trying to get like a lot of like new people into the channel and like grow my subscriber count, that sort of thing, like and grow the viewership, like it would definitely make things easier, because there would be more money, and then with more money there would be the ability to have more people, and with more people everything would get better much faster. But then at the same time it's like I don't know, it's kind of nice, like there's also a benefit to having things remain small, because then like on these streams I can actually chat with you and like answer your questions, rather than just seeing a wall of text scroll by and then I can never address it, or just getting a lot of like random people who don't like exactly the very specific niche thing that I'm doing. Then they're frustrated. Also, yeah, so I'm in a psychic gym, so I use Shadow Ball, but of course Giraffe Rig is a normal type. Don't do that. You will have saw there that I went back and fought some trainers that I had skipped earlier. The reason is I wanted to level up to 48 before using my rare candies, just to ensure that I arrive at Steven at a decent level. So I am going to fight Wobbuffet guy here for extra experience. Generally I skip him. I try to avoid it at all costs, but in the end it's fine. I have Shadow Ball. Wobbuffet is a psychic type, even though for whatever reason that never really sticks in my brain. It just doesn't seem like a psychic type Pokemon. It's blue. I look at it and I'm like, it's probably like a dark water type or something. No. Psychic. Okay. Are you ready for this? Before Tate and Liza, I'm going to use a total of 12 rare candies. 12. It's a lot. You can't have 13. There's one that I skipped. I think it's the one by the abandoned ship. But you can have 13 at this point, if you collect them all. You can make massive leveling increase. And simply, it's like, I don't think my Exploud is going to need to be a higher level in the late game than it already is. I'll get 2 more rare candies. And just knowing that I can spam Shadow Ball here is going to give me ease of mind. Honestly, I went for a Howl, but I don't need it. Shadow Ball is a guaranteed one hit on every single one of their Pokemon, even without it. So it's a very simple fight. Yeah, we're getting really close to 69 subscribers. Actually, I take back what I said before. If you like what I do, check if you're subscribed right now. If you're not subscribed right now, subscribe, because we're getting close to 69 subscribers. And I think I'm going to have to do like a lucky playthrough once we get there. My wish will have come true. the nicest number of subscribers. YouTube should send a plaque for this number. What if we got... Wait. How can we get it so that I get 69,000 subscribers on June 9th? Can we do that? Can we make that happen? How would we do that? That would be amazing. If that happens, my mind will be blown. Jay McLee, thanks for the $10. I don't usually get the chance to watch live, but I have seen all your videos and appreciate your dedication to constantly improving the quality of your vids. Hope you're around for a long time. Thank you so much. I will be around as long as people continue to watch these videos. So I don't think that I'm going anywhere. I have no plans of that. Okay. I don't think I don't think I'm gonna do a face reveal. There are no plans for a face reveal. I've thought about it a lot. Like, it's like, okay, if you do a face reveal, it either has to be really important or completely unimportant. Like, one day I just turn the stream on, there's a camera. I just don't talk about it. Like, make it, it's not a big deal, or you make it a big deal and you make it, like, really important, that sort of thing. I don't think that, neither is, like, very, like, narratively interesting to me. Like, when I think about which video I'm playing next, I'm always, like, trying to, like, figure out why it makes sense narratively to do that Pokemon next. Like, at what point do I do a first stage Pokemon in Emerald and try and beat the game with, like, Rattata? Like, I don't know. But that narratively has an impact. So I need to think about when I do that video. Because up until now, it's only been single stage Pokemon or fully evolved Pokemon. Or legendaries. The kitties are unfortunately not doing very well. 2 of them vomited this week. One of them vomited so much that went to the hospital and is still under medical supervision. The 2 cats that are resident cats, Churro and Rosie, they're both fine. Rosie had to get vaccines yesterday though, so she was not super happy, but she gets really scared when she goes to the vet, and then she normally doesn't like to be held, but at the vet, she refuses to leave my arms. It's very sweet. Okay. I'm gonna do another Jirachi Emerald playthrough on stream very soon. It might be next week or the week after. It's either Breloom or Jirachi next for the next stream, but I don't remember because this week has been so chaotic. I was out of healing items, I think, so I just used a citrus berry there. It's a little bit more dialogue. Also, this Archie fight is so irrelevant. The Crobat has 118 speed. It's one of the faster Pokemon in the game, but you can see right now that my Exploud has 133 speed, so it's fine. It's going to move first against everything unless it gets hit by Scary Face, which of course it does. You can't white herb this battle to avoid the Scary Face. You just have to be able to knock the Mightyena out in one turn. And I went for the Howl so that I would ensure that I had the one hit on the Crobat. Crobat can be annoying. Like, if the Mightyena uses Swagger and then the Crobat uses, like, I don't know, you, like, heal the Swagger with the Person Berry and then the Crobat goes for Confuse Ray. It's like, you just want to one hit the Crobat when you get to it. Yeah, I have thought about Plusle and Minun for a versus video. When I sit down to start a series, I go through and I try and pair up all the Pokemon into versus videos. That's like the first thing I do. You're like, which Pokemon make the most sense thematically to put together? It's not like which Pokemon make the best match. I don't think that that's interesting. Because, like, I can pair, like, Exploud with, like, I don't know what, Absol or something. And you're going to be like, what? Like, this is a weird pairing. Like, I don't know if I want to watch this. But, like, for me, it's always more like, okay, so, like, it feels like Sharpedo and Camerupt are counterparts to each other because they're the aces of the leaders' teams. So, like, those two should probably be paired together. Like, Huntail and Goribus, or Goribus? I don't know how to say that one. Anyways, like, when has that Pokemon been relevant? That's why I don't know how to say it. I don't think I've ever heard someone say it out loud, honestly. I don't think I've ever had an actual conversation about that Pokemon. Anyways, it's got to be one of the most forgotten Pokemon, but they just make sense to go together, right? So. Gorbis. Gorbis. Okay. Yeah, I know it's like gorgeous. Yeah, that makes sense. I'm getting better at this. The tower. Knowing what the proper path is so that I don't do extra walking. Still not great in this playthrough, but... This tower is much worse in Ruby and Sapphire. It's like absolutely brutal to get through. Even on 1x speed, it takes forever. Solrock vs. Lunatone is later this year. I've already done the first playthroughs for that one. That will be the next Emerald Versus video. Those two are a really neat pairing. They're really interesting when put side by side. Because one is physical, Solrock is physical, and Lunatone is special. It makes a really nice pairing rather than one being offensive and one being defensive, like Bayonet and Dusclops. Those two are like, well, like, Bayonet's gonna win, right? Like, I'm pretty sure it's gonna win, but we'll find out. Okay. Juan. I don't know, like, he's so bad. If the Love Disc doesn't confuse you right away, you just set up for free and then sweep his team. We'll get some damage ranges here so you all know how easy he is. Without Howl, I one-hit everything except the Kingdra, which I two-hit. I think with only one Howl, I'm gonna one-hit the Kingdra. Yeah, so I did an extra Howl, just for good measure. Because again, I just played this, I didn't know all my damage ranges. When I'm... so like, I'll go over and show you how the damage ranges work as I'm picking up the Brick Break TM. So over here, you can see my damage ranges for Juan. This is with one Howl. I will take Howl away. This is with no Howl. The way that I calculate this is not like... I don't like put in like level 61 Exploud and then calculate the stats. I actually play the run and it like generates this table based on exactly how the run has gone until that moment. So all the same EVs, all the same IVs, the nature, the hidden power typing, all of that. You can see here it says hidden power rock. So there always has to be one playthrough where I go in blind and just record a bunch of this data so that I can go back and manipulate it later. Like I can add rare candies before the battle or something like that to change the numbers to see what happens. I can add in trainers, I can add in Pokemon before this, that sort of thing. So yeah. Okay, back to Wally. Another irrelevant battle. It's really weird that the Altaria went for Dragon Breath first turn. Normally it just spams Dragon Dance and then you knock it out. But in this case, Dragon Breath. I was a little bit worried about that. Like maybe Cherry Berry just to avoid the chance for paralysis there is the safest play overall. Typically I don't think about my held item against Wally, but in this case I think it probably makes sense to go with Cherry Berry. As long as you have two. Yeah, you want another one for Glacia just in case the Celio, the first one, goes for Body Slam and paralyzes you while you set up. If you're not going to set up against it, then it doesn't matter. This route going to the top, this is new. I did not do this last week, but I am doing this now. Because you only have to fight one Pokemon on a trainer's team if you come down from the top, whereas if you come up from the bottom, you have to fight a trainer who has 3 Pokemon. So, and here, it's a Claydol that I have to fight, and of course I have Shadow Ball, so I'm just going to one-hit it. Simple. Shadow Ball is slightly better than Return when I don't have the Silk Scarf against super effective targets. Can this thing beat Medicham? Well, it's like Medicham did real well, but we're still under an hour and 10 minutes, so its time is really good to this point in the game. That said, when I played it the first time, I had the most problems against Steven. He was absolutely brutal for me. I reset like 7 or 8 times. It kind of feels like that with normal types. Like, normal types are really good, and then they get to Steven, and then they get a lot less good. Same with water types. Water types are like really good, and then they get to Wallace or Glacia, and then they start struggling like really badly. Because usually Juan is not good enough to slow them down. They can just kind of like use rest and return and get through the battle. But with Wallace, like he starts having type diversity and of course Ludicolo. So then he just ruins your day. And once again, water types feel like they feel in Generation 1. It's like a typing that theoretically sounds like it would be amazing, but when you actually start solo running it, you're like, nah, this is not actually that good. And like fire is the opposite. You like sit down to play fire, and like in my opinion, I'm just like, well, fire seems like a trash typing to solo run. And then I play fire types and I do terribly with them. And then after I play them a little bit more, I'm like, actually, these Pokemon are really good. Grass is just always good. You get to put stuff to sleep. Hello. Oh, is Exploud really good? Yes, Exploud is really good. It's amazing. It also had some exceptional luck right at the beginning of the playthrough. I recommend going back and watching for it. Okay. Brick Break for Sydney. I use the White Herb here to prevent the attack drop from Intimidate. In this case, I believe I have one-shots on all of his Pokemon. Yeah, without anything. I'm just over-leveled at this point because I used my rare candies before Tate and Liza. You wouldn't be that over-leveled there if you hadn't done that. And I don't even save before Phoebe because I know that with Shadow Ball, I'm just going to be able to sweep her team. Plus, I get one free turn of Howl because of the Dusclop's propensity to use Protect on the first turn. Now, this does not give me the one hit on her Sableye, but I have a 47% chance to knock it out in one turn. So it's not guaranteed, but it could set up double team and be annoying, but overall, it's okay. If I had had 2 hits on the Dusclopses, that battle would have had to be more Howls, and would get a lot riskier, just because you don't want it to set up Curse, and you also don't want to get pressure lowering your PP, so that once it's depleted, I can't obviously use Return or Brick Break against Ghost types. And I want to keep those 2 moves on my set for the late game. Glacia. This is kind of similar to Phoebe. She loves to set up Hail on the first turn, which doesn't really synergize well with the rest of her team. So as long as I have enough damage to knock out her Pokemon, I'm going to be fine. In this case, 76.6% chance to knock out the Walrein with 1 hit. And I got it. Easy. Yeah, if there was a Flamethrower TM in Generation 1, Fire types would be really good. Like, really good. They're already, like, good, but they would be exceptional if there was a Flamethrower TM. Especially if it came early on. Like, in Legacy Yellow, there's a Flamethrower TM in the Rocket Hideout. If other Fire types got that in Yellow version, that would be so good. They'd be so busted. Like, Arcanine would be redeemable. Okay. Drake. Because he has Shelgon and you can set up on usually first turn with Howl, it's fine. You can then just sweep. Even if the Salamence takes 2 hits because of Intimidate, it's fine. That's another reason the White Herb is good in that battle. If the Shelgon doesn't, like if the Shelgon just goes for Protect, you knock it out without it lowering your speed with Rock Tomb. Then once you get to the Salamence, you don't get the attack drop. Okay, Wallace, here we go. An hour and 12 minutes when we're going into this battle. It's a pretty good time. On track for one of my best Emerald playthroughs to date. So I'm going to damage the Wailord to take it down to red health. Then on the turn that he uses a healing item, use Howl, and then knock the Wailord out. This is to bypass massive damage from Water Spout. After that, physical damage for the Tentacruel lets me 1 hit, but the Ludicolo gets the most ridiculous critical hit with Surf, taking me down to 29 hit points. So now I'm in the red for the rest of the battle. The Gyarados intimidates me. I go for return and it doesn't knock it out, so Earthquake takes Exploud out. Like if the Ludicolo didn't crit right there, I would have had enough health and I would have survived the Earthquake and then knocked it out. Ludicolo is one of the worst Pokemon to go up against. I hate this thing. Howl turn 1, yeah, but that's risky because sometimes it Water Spouts. It's like, it feels to me like 50-50. 50-50 Rain Dance or Water Spout. And you don't want the Water Spout. If it Water Spouts turn 1 and you went for Howl, you'll be sad. So the much safer play is return right away. Or a move that's less powerful. Anyways, Wallace, he's not a problem when the Ludicolo doesn't get a critical hit. It was literally that critical hit that made me lose. Just because Ludicolo is so awful. Worst thing ever. Yeah, Ludicolo is like the Magneton and the Sandslash put together. They like merge them into one Pokemon. They're like, here's a Pokemon that's incredibly annoying defensively because it loves to set up with double team and it has no 4x weaknesses. It also has pretty good offensive stats. Oh, and it's also quite fast when it gets Rain Dance with Swift Swim. Just like, what is this thing? It's ridiculous. I did a Ludicolo re-rank. Go check out the stream. Also, you can dodge all these people consistently now because I found that this tile exists. Thank you, Austin, for letting me know. These are much easier to dodge now. They used to be challenging and I would usually bump into one or both of them. Typically both of them. But in this case, you just get by them for free. Okay, I think this is a mistake. I go in here, I talk to this person, get the Pokeblock case, and then I go to the Safari Zone. Don't do this. This is a terrible idea. I'm just wasting time with Exploud right now. The reason I'm doing this is because there's one more rare candy that you get access to in the late game. Last time I needed level 74 to beat Steven, and I thought I only had 2 rare candies. So I'm like, I'm going to get the 3rd rare candy, then go to level 70 to fight Steven. I believe I have 4 rare candies though after picking this one up. So I'm not over a damage rounding threshold, and it's not going to help my damage or my health in a significant way. So yeah, this is just a mistake. I spent like a minute there, or half a minute there. Just don't do that. This one, I think I should have picked up this rare candy. This rare candy doesn't take too much time. And I needed to pick up at least one of the waterfall rare candies. This one is up a waterfall. You need the Acrobike to get it. And then the other one is... I should actually time this in comparison with the Safari Zone one and see which one is faster. Because they're both kind of inconvenient to pick up. The next one isn't, though. It's on the way to Steven. Okay. So didn't need the heart scales like I was picking up before. If I did another run with Exploud, cut those heart scales out to save a little bit of time. That's the last rare candy. And now we're going to go fight Steven. You might be wondering, why haven't you taught Earthquake to this point in the game? And that's a really good question. Typically, Earthquake, ground type moves in Generation 2 and then in Emerald version, they're not very good during the Elite Four. There's a lot of Pokemon that are either flyers or they have Levitate. It's also the case, I guess, in Fire Red. There's a lot of Pokemon with Levitate, Fly. Because of that, it's just not that good offensively, and I don't think there's any type specialists that are weak to those moves. Like Bruno's Onyx, obviously, in Fire Red and Leaf Green, but like, those are not the Pokemon you're worried about. You're worried about them at Champ. Okay, so first Steven, though, I am going to teach Earthquake. Earthquake in the place of Return, and then Rest in the place of Shadow Ball. Rest counters toxic strategies, and it doesn't have the same liability as Substitute because the Skarmory deals decent damage with each hit. If we go to the Skarmory's damage, each hit deals between 23 and 27% damage, so you like alternate Substitute with Howls to do that. And in this case, since Steel Wing is doing so little, I know that I'm only going to need 1 Rest, and I get all the way to +6 before using Rest once. So, and then also the Skarmory misses a ridiculous number of Steel Wings. I think it misses 3 here. It misses the next one too, yeah. Uses a full restore, that's annoying. Maybe I should have gone only to +5 for this fight so that I would 2-hit and he wouldn't use the healing item there, but either way, 1-hit the Armaldo that's next, and then Brick Break is actually decent against the Claydol because you just break through its screens and it keeps trying to set them up, typically. In this case, it goes for Earthquake, then he heals. Just barely didn't have enough damage there, but then I crit the next time and knock it out, so yeah, easy. 4 times damage for the Aggron. I can just one-shot this thing with Earthquake, then Cradily, Brick Break, super effective, knocks it out in 1 hit, and that's all that's left is Metagross, Earthquake, and it's done! Exploud clocks in with a time. 1 hour, 18 minutes, and 3 seconds with 4 resets at level 72. This was a game time of 4 hours and 56 minutes. A little bit more. 4 hours and 56 minutes and 30 seconds, but I rarely talk about the seconds for the game time. Even though the game does record the seconds, there is a metric there. They just don't show them to the players. So yeah, Exploud's really good. I think I would have won. Like, the Steven fight does not seem hard to me. I'm just going to quickly show you the damage ranges there for howls. So this is no howls. Then this is 1 howl, 2 howls, 3 howls, 4 howls. 4 howls gives the almost guaranteed 2-hit on the Skarmory, but as you can see here, like the Armaldo is only 56% chance, and it's a 3-hit on the Claydol. But the other 3 are all 1-hits. So if I go to 5, then we get the 1-hit on the Armaldo and the 2-hit on the Skarmory. But the Claydol is a 3-hit. I think that 5 might be the ideal number just to avoid the full restore on the Skarmory. With 6, I have a 53% chance to 2-hit the Claydol. Like, it's kind of like, which one's better? I don't know, like, maybe 5. In the end, it doesn't really matter. I would probably play with 6 every time just because I feel more comfortable when I have just better damage ranges later into the fight. The Skarmory's pretty bad. I know I can just take my time here using rest. If I have to use it twice, like, it's annoying, but like, whatever. We could go into this at a lower level too, and I think Exploud would still be able to do it. We don't want to go in too much lower because I think we're going to start losing some of the damage ranges. Like, Claydol's going to take a lot longer. Skarmory might take a lot longer, but also, where do we cut training? Like, this thing already didn't do very much training, so the things we're going to start cutting are rare candies. Like, maybe we don't go over to the abandoned ship, maybe we don't go to the safari zone, maybe we don't go to the one that needs the acro bike to, like, jump over to. Those 3 would save a decent amount of time in themselves. We could cut out the one inside of the, what's it called? The trick house. And then that would be 4 less rare candies, so I can take out 4 rare candies from Tate and Liza. I'll just, whoop. Here we go. Okay, come back here. We'll go look at the route. So, 12 rare candies before Tate and Liza. I'll take out 4 of them. Probably still got 1-hits here. Yep. 1-hits on everything, actually, except the Claydol. Interesting. That's 56. What about 58? 58 really raises that chance. And 60 is the thing that pushes it over the level where you get 1-hits on everything. And that's 12 rare candies, which is exactly what I did. But the Claydol's not that good. But having to 2-hit during this battle is quite frustrating because they love to use hyper potions and they have 4. But if I cut out, let's say we cut out 4 rare candies there and we get through the Tate and Liza fight, the option might be here, because Earthquake is only doing like 20% damage. The option might just be like Howl once and then 1-hit everything. Or you just like 1-hit this, 1-hit this, 1-hit this, then 1-hit the 2-hit the Claydol. But probably Howl. Howl's probably the better choice. Because the Xatu loves to set up and you can run a Person Berry to counter its Confuse Ray. So while it sets up, it just doesn't matter. And then like if it gets a little scary, you just knock it out. Basically, Claydol, then Lunatone, then Xatu, so it doesn't Confuse Ray or hit with a Calm Mind boosted Psychic. Finally Soul Rock, because it can't put you to sleep like the Lunatone can. Okay, so if we take out those 4 candies, then we get to Steven at level 68. We're going to finish at 69. Nice. In this case, with 6 Howls, we 2-shot the Skarmory, 1-shot the Armaldo, 3-shot the Claydol, and 1-shot everything else. We could probably take out like all the rare candies and still do decently here. Steel Wing is doing a little bit more, but not so significant that it's terrifying. If we lose all the rare candies, then still final 3 Pokemon are all 1-hits. 3-hit on the Claydol. Less of a good chance against the Armaldo, but still decent chance on the Skarmory. But the Steel Wings are doing about a third. So if I'm using Rest, and I don't want to run a Chesto Berry because you want to run Leftovers. Or I think I want to, maybe Chesto Berry. I think the Leftovers is still better. Also, we speed tie the Skarmory and the Claydol outspeeds. So those are some things that we give up. Okay, level 65, we get the outspeed on both the Skarmory and the Claydol. 63, I think, was outspeed on, or 64 was outspeed on Skarmory, but speed tie Claydol. I think 65 is probably the best level, or the level to target it for Steven. I think 65. Because you get pretty good damage ranges. Steel Wing is not able to 3-hit. Well, it is if it crits, but like it's not able to 3-hit if it gets regular attacks. So it's going to waste some time with Spikes and Toxic here and there. It's probably going to miss one Steel Wing if it's spamming it a bunch. And then you can heal. Anyways, I just wanted to talk through those numbers so that people could get a sense for how much this run can be improved. Unfortunately, like I said at the beginning of the stream, I don't have enough time to do another run today because this week has been bonkers. Cats, going to the vet constantly, and my mom was like doing a flight, so I had to pick her up, and I had to go pick up my wife. So it's just a lot of stuff going on. Unfortunately, I don't have time today, but this was really fun anyways. Hopefully you all see how great Exploud is. This thing is an absolute beast. Its time right now I think is the 3rd fastest that I have in Emerald. Yeah, Medicham is first, of course. Absol is second. Absol's time is 1 hour, 17 minutes, and 46 seconds. If you haven't seen that video, go watch it. Absol is like ridiculously good. And Absol would be significantly better than Exploud if Absol had Bite from the start, but it has to waste so much time training for Roxanne, which Exploud didn't have to do because it got really lucky, like ridiculously lucky. The Roxanne fight is just absurd in this last playthrough. But Exploud is just a little bit behind it. 1 hour, 18 minutes, and 3 seconds. So what is that? Like, it's like 17 seconds, 16 seconds slower? No. 13 seconds. No. I'm having problems. 18 seconds, something like that. It's like around a quarter of a minute slower than Absol. But it's much faster than Mewtwo. My last Mewtwo time was 1 hour, 22 minutes, and 10 seconds. Mewtwo can go faster for sure, but I think that like, the level of finesse and skill that is required to take Mewtwo to a lower time is much more than it is with Exploud, Absol, Medicham. Those 3 Pokemon are just a lot easier to play. Because Mewtwo's a slow growth rate. That's the thing that really holds it back. And Calvin is at the beginning of the game, and it has no options other than struggle against him. So Mewtwo gets the unfortunate slow start. Okay, well, thanks so much for watching, everyone. I hope this was fun. This week, for the official release, the produced video on Saturday, it's going to be Golbat in Fire Red. The Zubat line, it's not great. So, yeah, if you have expectations, maybe lower them a little bit, but it should be a fun video. Thanks so much for watching. If you made it this far, you're incredible. I will see you in my next stream.